Hey guys, welcome back to Ableton Online. We are diving in lesson number 3, building out a custom drum kit or drum kits. Hopefully you're building out more than one. So to kick things off, I have this drum loop playing in the background that we programmed in lesson 2 and also partly in lesson 1. And it's sounding pretty good to me, it's sounding pretty groovy, but I'm using sounds that came with a kit that was already built out. And while the sounds were great to get things started and to get the ideas flowing, for this particular jam, I kind of want to import my own sounds. So we're going to go over a few different ways of building out custom drum kits in Ableton Live. The first way that I would suggest once you have a drum loop going that you like is to kind of reverse engineer the kit. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you have these sounds playing down here, the easiest way to get things started is just to take whatever MIDI clip you have programmed and simply swap in sounds of the same type. So if I have a hat here, maybe I go and I find DTM hat 32. I'm gonna go over here and there's that hat playing right there. And I can very simply just type in hat. These are a lot of loops. Let's find a good one. I kind of like that one, so I'm just gonna grab it and just swap it right in. Sounds a little bit cleaner, a little bit punchier, a little bit more organic and acoustic. So for this kit and for the groove that I'm going for, I kind of like that hat better. So what I'm gonna do is, the first way to create your own custom drum kit is to very simply, once you have loops built out that are working for you, okay, of different energy levels here as we discussed in the previous lesson, the quickest way to build out your custom drum kit is to go and find sounds that complement each other based on the MIDI loops you've already programmed in here, okay? So I'm just gonna go in each one of these sounds. That kick is kind of thin. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna find a nice kick that's a little bit fatter. Nice, that'll work. And I'm just gonna swap that right in there and notice that now, much better. And if I wanna find a second kick that maybe has a little bit more body to it, a little bit more boom, see if they have an 808. Nice. Use that one. Am I using this kick at all right here? Let's find out. Go to my most complicated clip. No, I don't think I am. So I'm just gonna swap in that 808. And all I'm gonna do is, once I get to number 3 here in my energy level of my clips, okay, clip number 3, I'm gonna go and find that kick right here. And I'm just gonna select all the notes and I'm going to option drag that into kick 808. So now, I've got a much beefier kick sound, and I'm gonna do the same thing for clips 4 and for clip 5 as well. Once I have those copied out, now I can grab 4, drag it down, grab 3, drag it down, option dragging to duplicate, to drag a copy down, and I'm just overlaying that, so I'm just replacing the clip there. And it's basically the same thing. Obviously, I've just added this beefier 808 kick there, so I've got a little bit more boom in the bottom end. Now let's find a better snare. Is that the only snare I have playing? Let's find out. Looks like it. Okay, so I want a better snare. I actually kind of want a clap there. So I'm just gonna go up here and type clap. Ooh, much better. Having great luck today finding these samples right off the bat. I'm going to go in here and just turn it up a little bit. Make sure it sounds good with the kit. And let's replace that sound as well. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and just type in perk for percussion, see what comes up. A lot of loops. Let's see if we can find a one shot here. Kind of like that. Let's see what that sounds like. And what I'm going to do here is I want to save this sound for later just in case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this up and into an empty slot. Let's just say A5. And I'm going to go back and find that empty slot to drag my new sample. And I'm doing this because I want to preserve that percussion sound for later, just in case I don't like the sound I pick. Instead, to replace it, I always have a backup of it. So there's a couple different ways to replace sounds here. You can replace the sound and still save the original sound up here in a clip, in a slot that I'm not using at all. I haven't programmed any MIDI into the clip here in that slot yet, okay? Notice how it just added another keyboard slot up here because I'm folding here. I'm only showing keys on the keyboard that have a sample in them, okay? It just added another key on the keyboard for me way up here. I'm not going to use that right now, but just in case I want to replace it later and go back to that sound, I have a backup of it, okay? So I'm going to drag this new sound into the clip slot that is now empty. It used to be my old percussion sound. Let's hear that. I like that a lot. A little bit more character, a little bit more presence in the mix. It's kind of there in your face a little bit more than the old sound. So that's the basics of reverse engineering a drum kit based on a MIDI loop that you've already created. I'm going to keep most of the sounds because most of the sounds sound pretty good, and I'm not using many more sounds than I've already swapped the samples out for. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep things the way they are, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple things here. Now that I've got my custom drum kit, okay, the main sounds have been changed, and to make something custom doesn't necessarily mean you're replacing every single one of these sounds with your own sounds. You could be using a kit that's already been built out, but changing the sounds that are going to matter the most in your composition. So in this case, the kick, the snare, which I changed into a clap, the main hat, and a percussion sound were really, and in adding this 808 boom to the more built-out clips. And this sound is sounding way too loud, so let's go in here and drag that down. Something happened there. There we go, sounding much better. So just changing those main key fundamental sounds that are in this loop, now I've got my own custom kit. So that's the first way to go about it. Once you have something that sounds good to you, you're going to do two things, okay? The first is, of course, as we've gone over before, you're going to go in and you're going to save your live set and give it a good name, and I'm going to go to the desktop and drop this in as A1, M1 for Module 1, Unit 2, and Lesson 3, and I'm going to call this Building a Custom Drum Kit, okay? And I'm going to save that, and it's going to name my session for me at the top here, and it's also going to create a project folder on the desktop with that session in it. So I'm good to go there. The very next thing I'm going to do, of course, is I'm going to file, collect all, and save, and this is so that all of these samples are going to be saved and consolidated. You see it's saving all of these files, copying them into my project folder for future use so I can future-proof my sessions, I can collaborate with others and they'll have all the right samples, and so that this session will always open and will always have all of the necessary samples to play back correctly, and I won't get any file missing errors or anything along those lines, okay? The very next thing I'm gonna do is, now that I've built out this custom drum kit, or I've at least modified it enough to make it my own, is I'm gonna go ahead and Command R on this actual rack, and I'm gonna put a space, and I'm gonna put my name in all caps, and then a space, and Deep Tech Minimal Beatbox. I'm gonna take out the beatbox. I'm not hearing many beatbox sounds in there, but I wanna remember that I started with this Deep Tech Minimal kit, but I also want to know that I've added my own sounds and made my own custom kit. I added the space at the beginning because the very next step you're gonna do is click on this little floppy disk icon right here. And that is going to save this kit into your user library. And the reason for the space is so that it always shows up at the top of the list of drum racks. So when you save this, it's gonna copy again, missed that a little bit there, but you saw it pop up, that dialog window, saving all of these sounds for this kit into this ADG, Ableton Drum Group or Ableton Drum Rack. In this case, it's a drum rack. And now when I go into Instruments and Drum Rack, guess what? There it is, space and my name, so I can easily identify that and drag that into another track or any new track in any new session, and I've got that same kit, which I can now go in and replay out those sounds. There's that kick that I dragged in, the 808 that I dragged in. There's that clap I dragged in. Okay, and now I've got all those sounds in a custom kit, even that percussion sound I saved, for future use. So that is the first way and the simplest way to build out a custom drum kit. Start with a loop that you've already built out and sounds that you're already using from another kit. Modify them so that they fit the loop that you're working on and you know the sounds groove well together. Then save the kit for future use. All right, guys, that about does it for part 1 of building a custom drum kit. See you again in part 2.